Hey everybody, welcome back again to Dare Ballpark in another episode of the Dirt Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Eaton, joined by a new co-host today, Dragons radio broadcaster Patrick Eschen. Patrick, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Excited.
All right, we're also joined by a member of the Dragons coaching staff today, Dragons hitting coach Eric Richardson. Eric, thanks for joining us on the podcast today, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's just kind of start top level here, right? Tell us how it is that you came to be a minor league hitting coach after your career.
It's something I always wanted to do. I stopped playing around 97, 98, and then I took a job in the real world out the baseball. And 2004, 2003, I got my first opportunity to be a professional coach, hitting coach with the Philadelphia Phillies. So I got an opportunity to do that. I loved it. I was a young coach then, and just never looked back, So I've been doing it since 2003, 2004. Took a little break, like a 4-year break when my son got in high school, be with him a little while, and I was fortunate enough to come back, and it's a good life for me.
That's all. So what'd you do when you got out of baseball for there? The real world, what was the real world like for you?
Man, the real world, believe it or not, I was a juvenile probation officer. I worked at a detention center with a lot of juveniles. Probably not the nicest kids on the block, but I dealt with them. So that's what I did for 5 years, 6 years while I was out of the game, in the real world stuff. So it was pretty cool.
You're a fairly big dude, though, so that probably wasn't. Yeah. There's worse people to go into that job, right?
Absolutely, and then I learned a lot from those kids, and it's just a way of life, man. It brings you full circle, and I was glad I was able to be a positive influence. With my background, they know I was a professional baseball player, so they kind of took it easy on me. They looked up to me a lot, so it was easy for me to get my point across to them.
Well, that's great. And speaking of kind of the fatherly figure, right? Like you mentioned, you got away from coaching for a little while, took some years off before you got back into professional coaching, spending time with your family. So tell us a little bit about your family.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing I did. I mean, I was able to get out of the forest where I can see the trees. I mean, it's a grind every day coaching, and something different every single day. And when you get out and get in the real world, and I was able to be with my family, with my kids and my wife at the time. So it was good. But getting back into baseball back in 2015, 16, it's been a blessing.
What got you to come back in the professional ranks?
I always wanted to come back. I told my son once he graduated high school and he was out. I have a daughter also. My son is 25 now. My daughter's 19, about to be 20. But I told my son when he graduated high school, I'll be with him so I can see him through those high school years. But once that was up, I wanted to get back into professional ball, and I got an opportunity to do that, and I got back with the White Sox. So I coached the White Sox for a few years, and then the pandemic hit, and now I'm over with the Reds.
Good stuff. Tell me, you've been all over the place coaching-wise. What sticks out about Dayton? What sticks out about here?
Man, I was just telling someone 3 weeks ago about Dayton, and they was asking me all the places I've been, and this atmosphere is amazing. I mean, I've been in every probably ballpark you can think of, and this atmosphere is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the fans, they love the Dragons. They come, lose, win, or draw. They come. I was telling the guys the other night, I said, how can you not want to go out as a minor league player and play in front of that crowd every night? And they support you guys so much. So it's just the atmosphere, man, and I love it. It's pretty good. I love it.
How was that compared to what you were used to back in the late 90s?
Not at all. I mean, the closest that I would say to this in the minor leagues would be Hickory Crawdads. I was there in 1983, so in the inaugural season, we were the first team to go there when they were the White Sox organization. So Hickory, the atmosphere there was just like this. Awesome. They had nothing in that town. And it's like, if you build it, we'll come. So they built a stadium, and everyone came.
Yeah.
So when I say Hickory, North Carolina, when I say everybody came, it was some of everybody came. So it was a good atmosphere. It was a good experience. So it kind of remind me of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of atmosphere, I heard a story that you got to play ball with Michael Jordan when he was coming through the minors. Is that true?
I did. 19 when he was his first year, and he was coming up, and I got to be on the same team with the spring training team with him, and and be along, beside him and play catch and talk to him and hang out is probably the most amazing couple months of my life, that I can say. And as an adult, I'm like, he's still a human, but still, and yet he's such a cool guy. And you say you got to hang around this guy, for a month or so, and it was just cool. And at the time, I wish I would have soaked it in more, but it got to be like, okay, he just one of the guys, and that's how he wanted to be treated. But at the exact same time, you look back and you're like, wow. When you see people tell different stories that they have with him or whatever, and I have stories, and they're my stories, and I keep my stories. But but I thought it was good. It was a good experience.
I mean, there had to be just an absolute media circus around that, though, right?
Every day, you never know who was going to walk through those gates. I mean, every single person every day walked through the gates, and we met so many different people, like people I thought I never put my hands on.
Yeah.
They walked through that gate, and I was able to meet a lot of different people. And I wish I would have took more pictures then.
Yeah.
But,
cell phones weren't quite as big of a deal, right? Those little flip phones back in the 90s.
We had the flip phones and
like a 0.2 megapixel photo.
If that, or the size of a radio, and then we had pagers. So there was nothing back then. So I saw someone say the other day, back in the 90s when you was growing up, I mean, everything is kept a secret because there was no cell phones.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so now,
You think about all the dumb crap we did growing up that didn't end up on the internet
I don't think
instantly?
I don't think we'll make it right now.
No.
No chance.
Nope.
No chance.
I'm
no
glad.
chance.
Yeah, I'm glad to be of the generation that we grew up in.
We all be in trouble.
Yeah. So getting into the role of a hitting coach, right? Like, obviously you're here to help the guys progress. You're here to help them get better, but like on more of like a nuts and bolts level, what's a day-to-day experience like for you here at the Dragons? What do you do when you come in? What are you focusing on? Like, does each guy have an own different plan? Like, tell us a little bit about what the role of a hitting coach at this level does.
At A-ball, I've been at every level now. A-ball is different. I mean, it's so much inconsistent. I mean, these guys, they're trying to find their way. They're trying to find a routine. They're trying to find out what works for them. So a lot of it is hands-on with the guys in A-ball. And one day they'll show you greatness. Next day they'll show you lateness, But it's so many different things. I come in early and you never know who's going to grab me and who wants to watch video, who wants to do a different drill, what they saw last night. So it's always something different. My day starts by 12:30, 12:45, and it's nonstop until game 7:05. It's still going.
All throughout the game.
All throughout the game. So when at 10 o'clock come, I tell the guys, they get 4, maybe 5 at-bats a night. Well, I get 40 at-bats a night because I got to sit there and I got to grind through every single bat with each guy. And, it's toxin. And at the end of the day, end of the night, your head is kind of hurting a little bit, whatever, after all those at bats, whatever, and nothing like a good cold Dr. Pepper calms it down.
That's the Texas guy in you coming out,
there
right?
You go. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you mentioned like the guys are coming to you. Do you find at this level they're more proactive than you having to go to them and be like, hey, here's what we need to work on? Like, are the guys seeking you out as a resource?
Yeah, at this level, they want information. Sometimes it's too much information. They, like I keep saying, they're trying to find their way. And at this level, the consistency, being able to day in and day out be the same person. They switch up on you all the time. So you got to stay grounded with them, and I got to be that force of saying no or saying yes, so they look up to you for that. So they always looking up to you for answers, I was just telling a couple of days ago, once they get to AA, they should know who they are as a hitter. Each guy should know who they are as a hitter. And I also said at this level right here, for some guys, this is where the bus lets you off at too. Everyone don't get to go to AA. You going to AA, that means that you got a shot of going to the big leagues. So I was just telling him the other day, I'm not going to say a name, but I said, hey, sometimes the bus may let you off right here at high A ball. So he goes, so that means I'm getting off the bus? I said, I didn't say that. I say sometimes the bus let people off at A ball, and this is where it is. So
That's what I was going to ask you. What is the biggest difference between a high A player and a double A player? Is it just knowing who they are, just more grounded, consistent? Is that the biggest thing? Or
Yeah, just like I said earlier, it's just the consistency.
Okay.
If you see guys, if you guys watch the games and they ball, their strike zone.
Yeah.
You know, they chase a lot here. They swing at pitches here. You get double A, triple A. Guys, they're not swinging at those pitches.
Okay.
I mean, their zone in, their strike zone is more tighter. They know what they're looking for. Their approach, their plan is different. Sometime in A-ball, well, a lot of time with A-ball, you got a lot of free swingers.
Yeah.
And they already predetermined if they're going to swing or not. And the approach is different. So if you see someone who has a consistent approach in A-ball, and I can spot them all the way, until that guy's going to the next level.
Okay.
You know, just simple as that. But then you see guys who struggle in A-ball and they chase out of the zone consistently, continuously, and I'm looking like they have, I'm not saying no shot, but it's going to be tough for them to go to the next level and play.
Yeah. I mean, you've coached at so many different levels. We talked about it. Is there a level that you've liked more than another in terms of being a coach?
I mean, I like Double A.
Okay.
I mean, Double A is a great level. Like I said, those guys, they know what they're doing. You know, they got a routine. You know, they're older guys. They're mature.
Yeah.
You know, some are married with families and stuff like so. I mean, they do mature things.
Yeah.
You know, but in A-ball, low A-ball, you never know what you're going to see. You never know what they're going to do. And sometimes you just shake your head and you laugh and you're like, okay, let's go with that. But it's fun down here. I mean, like I was telling Brian, we was talking yesterday, and we was talking about growing pains. You know, some of the guys who are here, and they're going to play the next level.
Yeah.
But right now, I mean, we got to go through the growing pains with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of the scuffling and the failing and all that. We just got to go through it with them. And sadly, you know, it's gratitude at the end. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, when you see them on Double A and the light clicks,
Yep.
and they just take off, and you be like, man, he wasn't like that last year. But you know, the light clicks, and once it click and then they're able to take off, man, it's a beautiful thing. You can say, well, I remember when
Yeah.
he couldn't do those things.
Yep.
So it's a learning process. These guys, they mature, they become better, they learn. So right now, you just got to go through it with them.
Gotcha.
You were talking about the players and how they grow, and when you look at them, you're like, I can already tell some of these guys. I can tell they have the capability, or they already are almost a Double A kind of hitter. For the guys that aren't, is that, and when they get to this level, is that something they can learn? Is that something that, like, what is it, like half the guys have the ability to like learn and change and grow, or do you think everybody down there has the ability to, if they put in the work and the effort, grow themselves to be a Double A hitter? Or is it just, you can kind of tell there's guys that maybe have that the bus is probably going to let them off here unless God himself comes down and changes their swing?
Everyone has the ability. It's just the fact of them being consistent and having that positive attitude, having that dog in them. So you got to have a different gear in you. Some of them don't have a different gear, you know, and it's not their fault. I mean, you know, everyone's not going to the big leagues.
Yeah.
I mean, I want roughly 30 guys on the team. All 30 guys not going to be. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, so you're talking 2 or 3% of those guys going to the big league. So a lot of times I tell them, this may be your big leagues right here. A-ball may be your big leagues. Double A may be your big leagues. You know, everyone don't get to go. And when I look at guys, and in all my years of coaching, I've learned, I used to, but I learned not to label guys. You know, yeah. I'm not quick to say he's not going to the big leagues. He don't have a chance. You know, guys get better. You know, they go to off season, you know, and they work on some things, and they come back, and they're different type of players. So I'm very careful on how I personally label a kid and say he won't make it or he can't make it. I mean, that's not up to me to make that decision. I mean, you never know. They can go and get better at their craft and come back a different player.
Mm-hmm.
Who's been the funniest member in the Dragons coaching staff this year?
The funnest member of the Dragons coaching staff.
You can feel free to say yourself too, man.
Yeah, you're allowed.
I would say myself, I try to keep it loose, you know. Okay. I keep it loose. I mean, I try to keep it loose, and sometimes I can't believe you said that, but I'm glad you said it.
Okay.
But I keep it loose. Lahara's kind of like, you know, he kind of standoffish a little bit. He gets a little.
He's got that East Coast dad vibe thing going on, doesn't he?
Yeah, so,
totally.
Yeah.
He's a family guy. I call him the family guy. Great dad, great husband, great father. He's just a family guy, and so I try to keep him loose. Everyone else is pretty uptight. A little bit.
See, I ask players this. They always tell me Peterson Plazas.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see that.
Yeah, Peter's this is first full year of coaching.
Yeah.
He just finished playing. I was telling him he the same age as some of the players.
Yeah.
So we were joking the other day, say we might have to put you in the game. So just stay ready, because if you watch, he's out there taking batting practice and doing just little things like that. But yeah, Peace, and if you watch, I want to say the movie Seinfeld, he just does some silly things and says some crazy stuff like, okay, I can't believe you said that. But yeah, so he is pretty funny.
He is. What's been your favorite city to visit in the Midwest League this season?
So far, I don't know. Fort Wayne's not bad. Yeah, Fort Wayne's a nice place. It's downtown area. Lansing has a nice place. But other than that, I mean, I can't think of any other place in the Midwest that's has been really cool.
Okay.
But Dayton's at the top of the list, of course.
Yeah, right.
In the Midwest. But as far as there, probably Fort Wayne and Lansing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a place that you've gone to throughout your career you don't go to now that you really miss traveling to coach games or even play or something like that?
And so I played pretty much in all of these towns in the Midwest.
Yeah.
I played the Midwest League in '94. I was in South Bend. We were the Silverhawks with the White Sox organization. So we played in all of these leagues. But now everyone has new stadiums now. Mm-hmm. When I played, oh my God, I mean, you couldn't even shower in those places. I mean, so there was run down. They were bad, very, very bad. I mean, they were below high school standards back then.
Really?
So now everyone has a new stadium. It's nice, and everyone's continually upgrading and doing rehabs to their facilities or whatever. So, I mean, it's but South Bend is still there. It was there when I was. It was probably one of the best stadiums.
Really?
Back in the 90s. And then they still do a good job of keeping it up well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about places you like to visit, but it's almost like not a fair question because you come from Austin, right? So you're living in Austin, Texas these days in the off season.
Yeah.
And we were talking before we got on the air. We're glad we're not there now because it's like 400 degrees in southern, down in Texas. But so tell us a little bit about what's cool about Austin. What do you like living there?
Like I said, Austin is a very outdoor place. I mean, if you like outdoors, you'll like Austin. There's always something going on, live events, live bands, live music. So, I mean, it's always good to get outdoors. But when it's 110 degrees, you got to ask yourself, do I want to be a fried egg or do I want to stay in? But,
I'll go outdoors in January when it's 70, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, but it's a cool place. And, I mean, if you're the age of 25 to 35, it may be heaven to you. But, if you're older, I mean, like myself, whatever, and, I walk now. So I don't run down as fast. So kind of laid back and I stay to myself. So it's not a part of my life.
Yeah, you take things a little bit slower than we used to back in the days when you were a player?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So, kind of taking that back to the players, and like how do you try to connect with them? I think, are you at this age when you're a coach and things, are you trying to be more father figure or more like, hey, this is how I did it when I was playing, or this is how I've seen other guys doing it? Do you have a way that you approach guys, or is it all different depending upon who you're talking to?
It's totally different. Each guy is different. I mean, like this is my 10th year coaching, and I've learned so much. And a lot of things I did in the past I don't do now. But I learned so much, and the biggest thing that I got out of it is I try to learn from each player. I want to learn from each player. I wouldn't say a father figure to them because I have to get down on each guy's level, whatever his level is. Everyone has a different background. They come from different places. The biggest thing I get is trust. They have to trust you. That you got their best interest in their career in mind, and then they trust you with their personal stuff. A lot of stuff going off the field. People sometimes forget that they're athletes, they're pro athletes, but at the exact same time they're people first. So they got feelings. They bleed, they cry just like everybody else. So some of them cry more than others. But
especially after going over 3, right?
So you just got to. And so the big thing with me is trust.
Yeah.
And my deal is I making my business to make sure I know something about every single player.
Yeah.
Some personal, some about their family, their do's, their don'ts, their likes, their wants. And once I got that, I mean, you get a guy that come down and he want early hitting or whatever and study hitting. We talk about life. Yeah. We just talk about life, man, and we chop it up about life. This is something baseball, if you're good, just say if you're good, you're great, you're a Hall of Fame guy, you'll play till you're 34, 35, right? But if you live to be 75, 80, what's that, 7%, 10% of your life?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do with the other percentage of your life, which you have more life to live? So I try to prepare them for what's after this game, what's after life. Be a good father, be a good husband, be a good brother, be a good friend. So things like that. So you're always coaching, not just on the field, but you're coaching outside life stuff.
That's awesome. Was there anybody when you were playing that kind of played that role in your life as a coach that you maybe had?
Man, I probably had one of the greatest mentors coming up, 18 years old, country boy from Brenham, Texas. Never been away from home. And Buddy Bell. Buddy Bell was the farm director for the White Sox and a hard-nosed guy. There was no shortcuts. He made everyone respect the game. He made you do things the right way. So 18 years, Buddy Bell, he's always been that mentor type player.
Okay.
And still today, he's still that mentor guy.
Really?
Yeah, he just stepped down, but he was the special assistant to the vice president for the Reds.
Wow.
And he's always been in my corner. So just a guy who's always I looked up to.
Mm-hmm.
I looked up to. And in the long way, I had some good coaches. Funny story, we was in South Bend, and Mark Haley, he was my coach, my hitting coach when I was coming up. Now he runs the hitting facility over in South Bend. So able to connect with him and see how he's working. So just different guys, you come up and you just want to say thank them and give them a hug.
Yep.
And that's what I try to instill in these guys. When I'm done coaching, when they're done playing, they can look back and say, he really cared about me.
Yeah.
He looked out for me, and it wasn't just about baseball. It was about life. And I just try to tell everyone that life is bigger than baseball. Mm-hmm. Of course, it can help you make a good living and help your family, but still and yet life is way more important than baseball.
Yeah, relationships are huge in this business.
Absolutely.
Right? Just how many guys do you still talk to? Do you still think about on a day-to-day basis that you've coached before? Just describe what those relationships are like. I'm sure they're really good after you're done coaching these guys and, you move on from life a little bit, but I'm sure you're still talking to so many people in the game that, you've been with before.
Absolutely, yeah. We and true story, some of them are coaching now.
Yeah,
some of the guys I coached back in 05, 06, they're coaching in the major league.
What's that like to see?
Yeah, it's good to see. One of the guys that I coached a long time was Barry, Quentin Barry. He's the first base coach now for the Brewers.
Wow.
And to see him out there doing his thing or whatever, it's good to see.
Yep.
I got some guys I coached, they're scouts now, and they still got a foot in the game.
Yep.
So it's just amazing to see. And I tell them, you take a little bit from each coach, and then you make it, put it in how it goes into your everyday business. So,
okay.
Just be yourself. And, I had some bad coaches, too. I'm not going to sit here and say everyone was good. So,
I get it.
But I learned from the bad ones, too.
Mm-hmm.
I learned I don't want to be like that. I'm going to be better than that. So, but good and bad. it's all experience. So every day is an experience, and that's how I try to treat it with life and in the game of baseball. It's been good to me.
Good.
I love it.
Good.
And kind of taking off what Patrick said there, the sheer volume of people that cross your path from a player with all of your, fellow players in the clubhouse, all your coaches, all the different teams, and now on the flip side of it, even look at our roster, right? We're in the second half of the season here, and there's a ton of roster turnover, generally speaking, almost every year at this level. To your point, it sounds like you pour a lot of yourself into a lot of guys down in that dugout, and then it's great when you see them move on, hopefully, but then you get these new guys in. It's like, how do you keep up the intensity? How do you keep up what you're doing when that wheel just never stops? I mean, does it ever feel like that, or does it not seem like, as an outsider, right? I'm like, man, that's a lot to keep up with. You seem like you're doing great at it. Like, how do you do that?
You got to be able to control your feelings. At the end of the day, I mean, this is not the end, and this is not the last stop. So you want those guys to continue moving, and you see guys that work really, really hard and they start doing well, and then they move up. A funny story. We can talk about Dunn.
Yeah.
We can talk about Dunn. Dunn came here, and Dunn is a very, very hard worker, and he grinded out every single day. And that's the type of guy who you don't mind working with, And to be honest, he wasn't at the top of the list coming into the season. He made a name for himself because of how he worked and how he took it on the field. And then he got better. And he deserved to go to Double-A. He's doing well up there right now. And, look for him in the future, be in the big leagues. So, you get attached to guys, and I always tell them it's like a girlfriend, Don't like her too much because she'll leave you.
You do your job too good, I'm not going to see you next week.
So man. There you go. So if you take too good care of it, she's going to leave you, to a guy that's at a higher level. So, but it's fun, man, to see those guys move up and the relationships they have. And I was blessed last year. I went to a game back on June 5th in Cincinnati. And I took a picture, and my manager, Cheo, Jose Marino, last year on the field on that day, you had T.J. Hopkins playing left field. You had Matt McClain at shortstop, and you had Andrew Abbott on the mound. But just last year, all three of those guys was with us in Chattanooga last year. Yep. So it's just fun to watch. And now you look at the lineup. Now you got De La Cruz I had. You got McClain, and you got Abbott on the mound. So all those guys, man, that you coached just with last year, they're in the big leagues now. Yeah. So it's fun to watch and to see those guys reach their goal, something that they've been practicing for all their life, and you see them get to do it. It's just amazing. So I don't mind them moving up, know. I don't mind losing a girlfriend.
There's another one coming.
There you go. That's what I'm saying.
There's still 25 guys in the roster. They're not going to leave an open spot, right?
That's what they say. Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah, I mean, it has been fun watching the Reds too this year. I mean, it's we talk about let's talk about the organization as a whole. It's like the organization seems to be in a very good spot at the big league level. I mean, obviously, it's still a bunch of young, fairly inexperienced major leaguers. They're going to have some struggles, but as you see those guys there, are you seeing the kind of things that you worked on that they're doing there when you watch those guys in the big leagues now? I don't know if you get a chance to watch too many games given what you're doing.
Yeah, I am. I mean, Strand just got called up the other day, so I had Strand last year, and those guys' work ethic is the same. McClain, De La Cruz, TJ got sent back down. Andrew Abbott is pitching. Just to see those guys, the Reds in the next 6-7 years, baseball better watch out. We got a lot of good talent that's coming through the pipeline, and you're going to see a team full of 25, 26-year-old guys just tearing it up. Yeah. I mean, I'm talking running around the bases, hitting for power, doing so many different things. And it's going to be so fun to watch. And back in the day, I didn't grow up a big Red, but they're bringing it back. Yeah. They're bringing it back, and you guys see they're starting to fill that stadium up every night. And those guys, they got a good product on the field, and it's going to be so fun to watch. And I'm just hope I'll be able to be a part of it for years to come.
Yeah. So let's kind of bring it back and land this here from what the fans see when they're in Dayton, right? Like, they're out there and they'll see guys, he might have an 0-for-2 night or an 0-for-3 night, or he has a great night. Like, is there anything that the average fan could, kind of increase their intelligence on as they're watching the field? Like, what these guys are doing? Like, give us an insight, like, when you're watching an at-bat, what's something that the average fan might be able to watch a little bit closer and be like, oh, I could see where that guy was trying to do something, trying to take it the other way? Like, what are some of the things that a fan maybe could pick up on if you were going to give them some pointers?
Man, first I tell them to put the beer down, probably.
That usually helps. We're talking in the early innings, right? Early innings, first and second inning.
It's they don't realize how tough the game is. These pitchers out here are amazing, man. if you guys saw the Great Lakes series or whatever, they have a bullpen that's out of this world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just looking at their numbers and what they're coming out, and fans like, how can you not hit that ball? Well, it's 98 to 100, you know.
Yeah.
And
Can't even see it.
And
No.
it's moving how, you know, however want to move. It's not in a straight line. But, you know, the average fan, you say, man, if they was able to look at the player's approach, look at what he don't swing at, you know, and if they got their son sitting beside him and say, look, see how he's not swinging the balls out of the zone. You know, he's making good quality swings with pitches in the zone. So that's a good teachable moment if you're a mom or dad and you got your child in the stands with you, whatever, and you're trying to teach them, you know, how the approach, you know, strikes in the zone. So those are teachable moments that they can have, and the average fan can see, you know, and they're like, how can he swing at that pitch and in the dirt or whatever? But they don't know it probably broke 10 inches.
Yeah.
You know, so it's different things that like that I don't think fans really get the idea of, but I think just swinging good pitches in the zone, somebody can take away from it.
Great. Well, hey, we appreciate all the time today. It's been great getting to know you a little bit better and getting some insight into what's going on down in the dugout, what you guys are working on. Sounds like we probably need to let you get going because you got a ton of work in front of you based on everything I heard.
Yeah.
I've been hearing, man. You're
Pretty
a busy
much.
guy.
It's that time.
Busy guy, man. So, yeah. So,
Well, great. We
lot of
appreciate
things
you.
going on.
We appreciate again you coming on the podcast here. Best of luck with the rest of the season. Hopefully things continue to go well and keep this Reds organization growing and getting better every day.
appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.